Hey Sitecore family. So today we have Priyanka Gulia with us. Priyanka has been here at Horizontal for around 2 years now, and she has been working on Sitecore, a number of engagements that she has done right now. And she also was a speaker in both the subcons that happened, the one this year and the one last year as well. So, let's know more about her. And the podcast today is mainly about a person who started off on .NET, but later changed her course onto Sitecore. So let's see how her journey has been, and hopefully this helps you out in some way in getting few tweaks or golden nuggets out of it. So Priyanka, welcome to Sitecore TECH Talks.
Yeah, pleasure is all mine.
All right, and it's not your first time, of course.
Yeah.
So we had a podcast around the experience of subcon.
Subcon this year, yeah.
So let's get started with your journey.
Sure. I think I'll start with my introduction. So, as you mentioned, my name is Priyanka Gulia, and I have been in the IT industry since more than 6 years now.
Yep.
I started my career with .NET, basically .NET MVC and .NET Core, and then 2 years back, I shifted to Sitecore. So this is the overall IT experience that I have. So a brief introduction.
Yeah. I would like to start off, because generally if you say you started off on .NET, I am sure the seeds of that would be sown much prior to those, right?
Yeah.
So I would like to start with your schooling as well as your college.
Okay. Okay, so we are going down the memory lane now.
Yeah, you can say so.
Yeah. So if I start with my schooling life, my father was in Indian Air Force. So I have completed my schooling from Kendriya Vidyalaya only. I used to shift cities every 3 years because of my father's profession. Yeah. But I was overall into Kendriya Vidyalaya only. After I completed my 12th with bio and maths. So I have taken both bio and maths along with physics, chemistry and English. So there was option of taking both of these subjects back then. So
before we continue further, I'd like to thank your family and your father for the service.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sorry to cut you off there. You can continue.
After I completed my schooling, I completed 12th, I was in Vadodara only. And then I started my computer engineering, I completed BTech. I started there because at that time, engineering, I wanted to do engineering and I had few interest in medical as well. But I ended up doing engineering. I completed it in 2018. So I passed the engineering exam in 2018. And back then, if I talk about what were the trends and everything, that time the digitification of everything was in trend. People were already into websites. So everyone was taking things into digitification, they're converting their websites, they're making their pages. Even people were making resumes and portfolios on the websites.
Yeah.
So everything was into trend. Everyone was exploring how smartphone apps works, how the websites are working and everything. And at that time, we have to complete one final year project. Because at my time, the internship trend was not into that much efficient. People were basically into creating a full working project.
Right.
So back then, I was thinking if this much digitification is happening, I wanted to give some solutions to the problems that are in the background or in the surroundings of me. So I was always thinking about can we solve this problem, can we solve that problem and everything. And there is a short story that happened. I was visiting a park back then, and I saw one brother and sister talking, and the brother was he was deaf and dumb. So they were just talking, and that girl was doing that sign language to communicate with him. And when they were visiting the drinking water station and everything, the instructions were not proper. So he has to instruct her sister to do the basic chores in a park or that area which is like where people can usually go and sit.
Yep.
So I don't know, back then like I saw it as a problem and I wanted to give a solution to it. So in my final year project, I started working on a website where the sign language can be converted into sentences or like the text which can be displayed on a board. So that was my final year project, which basically I was trying to solve the problem of that. In that time, Divyang was also happening.
Yeah.
Like everyone was talking about it and like those problems they have to face.
So I'd like you to explain the Divyang a little bit more.
Yeah, okay. So Divyang was basically that the government was basically doing stuff for the people who are deaf and dumb, like disabled in some sense. So that term was used for the people who are disabled, be it in any sense or ability. And those people, like the government was doing stuff and things for those kind of people basically to solve or make their life easy.
It's very, very nice to know that, something even that the government was focusing on from that time. You started doing the same for the specially able people.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, the government was doing stuff for them in the physical world, and I wanted to do something that like a layman can communicate to those people. So I started working on building that website. Like I basically choose MATLAB for it because I have to convert the pictures and the sign language and the motion into sentence.
Correct.
So I choose MATLAB and then I build that website properly. Like basically what it does was like we used to give the bands to the people, and if they are using, we have converted American Sign Language into text. So that signs and the motion was detected through the sensors, and it translates into the English text which is displayed. And we held a seminar also for it in McDonald's. So we visited the like outlet there, and we see like if people can use it, how efficient it is. So that was my project back then. So this I would say like the mindset of solving things got me into .NET, because 6 years back .NET was into trend. Most of the e-commerce websites and everything was getting built into .NET framework.
Yep.
So I chose .NET as my career, and in the last semester I got placed into one company that was startup, and I started my career basically into .NET MVC, .NET Core, Web APIs, Windows Services, C#, and I also worked in JavaScript, jQuery, and AngularJS.
So pretty much everything, of course.
Pretty
that is
much
what
everything.
a startup is all about.
I was basically a full stack. I was just not doing HTML and CSS. Apart from it, I was doing everything. I have worked on those previous like old Windows services, which we, I think we'll later talk about it with Sitecore processes. But that was the thing which I used to do. And the deployments, pretty much everything. I have even implemented multiple payment gateways. I have implemented, created a web API, which basically took request, like unified request for 5 payment gateways, and give the response, like unified response for all the payment gateways.
Nice.
So I worked all over there. So yeah, that was my start of the career, like that what I did for 3 years.
So well, I know this one thing as a fact that if you start off somewhere in a startup or a company which is not that huge or not that big, you get a lot of exposure, right? A lot of experience, and there are things which there is kind of nobody to do those big things, and there are a lot of opportunities which can just you can just grab off the floor and get them through.
You can get into any of the area of IT development. Like we used to write the SOS also. Like we used to write stuff. Then we used to create unit test cases on our own. And at that time, like there were not lot of mentors. Like whatever we used to learn was like we were doing things on our own.
Yep.
So and a startup is basically you'll get like every exposure that you need, and you just have to grab it and see like what you can do. So like at this start of my career, I have explored everything from creating database schema to the end of the deployment, I have had been part of every web development cycle. So yeah,
which is kind of nice because then
Yeah.
it gets you knowing on a lot of fronts.
yeah,
right?
it created the base for me. Like
Yeah.
whatever I am doing right now, that like the base is created back then, and because of that, like I got the exposure of every cycle. I came to choose like what I actually want to do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I'm sure the discipline and the hard work, of course, comes from the genes. So
Yeah.
nothing to talk about there.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, you started off on .NET, and so how long were you in that startup?
3 years, and after that I joined an MNC, like the top 4 MNCs, where also like I used to work on .NET only, like the Blazor framework and .NET Core basically. So yeah, so basically I worked 4 years in .NET.
4 years in .NET.
Yeah, overall 4 years in .NET.
And this particular place where you worked on the Blazor and other stuff. So it was again the latest at that time, the .NET framework.
Yeah. .NET was back then, like .NET was everywhere. Be it like the websites or the any sector website, and then if you want to create services, then if you want to be it e-commerce, like every part there was .NET, because the framework, and that time .NET Core was very trending.
Yeah.
Because Core was giving like more robust architecture to deploy the applications and build it. And because of the .NET Core, like .NET framework has also introduced Xamarin, where you can host the C# code for the mobile apps.
Right.
So it was easy, like we can host the apps also in Android and iOS both.
So you talked about websites. Have you made mobile apps?
No, I haven't worked in like the core applications, but I have worked on Xamarin to make that like the .NET and C# code work into like hosted as Android
mobile.
and iOS apps.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, so when did you get started on Sitecore?
Yeah, that was 2 years back. If I talk about transition, it was basically when I started working and when I was working on .NET, like the main importance of building websites was like e-commerce or the like the brand websites and everything.
Yeah.
And the architecture which we used were like the whole database schema used, like we used to create the whole database schema.
Yeah.
Then we used MVC core, both either of them, and then after which we used to display the content to the website. But in overall this cycle, we haven't any content manageable system.
Right.
And back then, like 2 years back, I was like really getting into the digitification and the digital experience, where like the personalization came into picture.
Yeah.
Then we can personalize the content, personalize the like products which we are giving. We can personalize the overall experience on the website. And back then, like the 2 years back, the clients were more focused into like getting like how we can change the content more easily. Because there were clients for whom like we have to change the content on daily basis, like their banners are getting changed and other content is getting changed, and the problem was like we can't go into the DB again and again and change it.
So technically, this is kind of a downside of working on .NET applications you're talking about, where this could not be done by a non-tech user, and you always required a technical team to manage these things. Plus movement of it onto the production environment,
like the deployments that have to take in place, the DB scripts that we have to run and everything, even for a single small content, or else we have to make the content static. Like on the HTML pages, we have to make the content static, and then we have to change it again and again. And we need a developer for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So when you got started on Sitecore, did you know about Sitecore, or did you come to know about Sitecore after you started on it?
No, I was already exploring Sitecore, because when I was working in that MNC, like I used to get bored of the work I was getting. So I was more curious to learn new. Like I was already done with everything because in 4 years I have done most of the stuff.
Yeah.
Because I was in startup and then MNC, so
Precisely.
I got more of the task which usually you don't get. So I was like, what else I can do? And at that time, like everyone was talking about digital experience.
Right.
And then I came to know about Sitecore. Like the Sitecore is the leading CMS in the market and everything. And then I started exploring about the companies who are working under like for Sitecore or using Sitecore. And then I joined Horizontal.
Right. All right. So let's talk about your experience at Horizontal in that case.
Okay.
When you started off from .NET to Sitecore, so I know that we have a training program, you know. So we've built the training program over the years, and you know, of course, we keep refining it to make it even better than you know the last experience. So it always gets refined. But I'd like to hear your experience when you started on Sitecore with the training program.
Okay. Like if I talk about like how I started, how I ended up, like it's a full roller coaster for me. Like I started from getting the training and right now I am into giving the training. So the transition is really these 2 years if we talk about it's very short, but they were very long for me. Like 2 years were like I have gotten into every opportunity that Horizontal has given me. So when I joined initially, I was taken into the training program, which was specially built for people who are shifting from .NET to Sitecore.
Yep.
Because Sitecore has the base of .NET only.
Correct.
And we already know the .NET and its fundamentals. So that training was specially built for people like me who were transitioning. So I done that training for 1.5 months. I got the like initial steps of how Sitecore vanilla works, what are its fundamentals, what are best practices and everything. Then I built up a website on my own, a small website, and then I showcased it to the leadership, like how I am learning and how I have hands-on on it. And after that, I was given a project in which I have spent almost 1.5 years.
Yeah.
So with you only.
You work together on it.
Yeah. So that was a major automobile automobile giant, I would say. So I started on that project. In that project, I have explored both technically as well as personally, because I got the opportunity of working in Sitecore SXA for that project, and we were having entity framework, .NET entity framework also for interacting with the web APIs and their down systems. Yeah. So technically it was a very, very big project and very challenging project. We have we together have also done 2 launches, I guess, 2 car launches, like the major car launches. Yeah. Then we have also...
Which were their flagship models?
Which were their flagship models. And then after that, we also visited their site for yet another, their biggest launch, which happened recently only. So yeah, if I talk about technology wise, I got all the opportunities for basically Sitecore, and also I got the opportunities personally. At the start, I was working as senior developer. Then I started working as tech lead. After you handed over everything and taught me how to work.
You already had everything in you. I mean, I didn't do anything. But yeah, I mean, that's where it is, right? I mean, I think your experience over in a startup, which built the foundation so strong that you were able to grasp and take things forward along.
Yeah, even if I talk about the opportunities Horizontal has given me, it's not just the Sitecore and the project. It's also personal as well. I used to visit the client sites, interacting with the client one-to-one, getting the knowledge, how to work, giving them solutions as a consultant mindset, solving their problems on day-to-day basis. All of that, this was also a transition as a developer to a lead. So managing the team. So I got like all of the opportunities in this 1.5 years
Yeah.
overall.
Yep, yep. And I think overall we know how happy the clients are, and I think in the end that's what matters, right? Because then they are, see, what we as consultants or what we as developers want is the product that we're working on is top notch, and with a foundation of Sitecore, lot of it is easy because then we can build on that same strong foundation and build their business application in a way in which it suits their business.
Exactly.
Right. And at Horizontal, because we follow the best practices to make sure that we use Sitecore in the best possible way.
Yeah.
Things eventually fall in place even if they are not in place in the beginning.
Correct.
And that is where there are different customers who come to us who have already systems implemented, not implemented in the best way, but then we can still move them, which is the story of this particular automobile child.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that is where it's very much important to know the basics and the foundations.
Yeah, the basics are important. Like if I talk about the transition to Sitecore, like challenges, then basically in the start I was okay because the framework was .NET. I was getting, like, if I talk about Windows services, I used to relate it with the Sitecore processes because both of them are same. Then if I talk about like the architecture and everything, they were pretty much similar to MVC. Everything was like that. I used to relate like the CMS data templates and everything with the database schema.
This was exactly what I was going to ask you, because then if you are coming from .NET and if you're looking at Sitecore, how do you really put things together in kind of a mapping way to compare and learn faster?
Yeah, so at the start I used to relate things to of it through the MVC web development cycle only. So basically I used to relate the data templates and everything created to a database schema because I used to work on DBA as well. So I used to relate to the tables as the data templates and everything. Then I used to relate the controllers and everything to rendering and all. Like if I talk about SXL, like the partial designs and everything, I used to relate to those partial views. And then layouts, and then after all that, like those of related stuff make me realize like Sitecore also works that way only, and it make the things easy. And I would also mention about the Sitecore community. Like people are very helpful here. Like if I'm stuck somewhere, if I want to learn something new, like there is blog available for everything. You can reach out to the community over Slack. You can find blogs, and even in Horizontal, like all the people who are in Sitecore are so helpful. Like they'll give you solution to everything. They have a way of doing, like this can be done this way, this can be done that way. Like we'll get something for, like you'll not be ever stuck like, oh, I'm stuck and I'm not getting a solution for it. Like Sitecore community is very helpful, and people at Horizontal are like, even when I was struggling into this transition, like how Sitecore works and how I was relating it to .NET, there were people helping out at Horizontal. Like they used to give me the idea, like you can relate this to this. I remember when I was shifting and I was anxious. Like you were the only one who said like Sitecore is MVC only. So yeah.
And that's a part of the culture, right?
Exactly.
I mean, at Horizontal, one person says I need help, there will be 10 people standing beside you.
Exactly.
So that's how it is. And I think the same thing is with Sitecore community. It's pretty warm.
Yeah.
The moment you ask that, I need help, there will be minimum 10 people in the community who will stand up and say, okay, what help do you need? So I think it's a part of the culture, whether you call Horizontal or you call Sitecore. So I tell you the time, when I joined the Sitecore community, it was like 14 and a half years back. So I've started off on Sitecore. I have not started off on .NET. I know .NET. I did .NET in my college times, but my career started in Sitecore itself. And at that time, I remember even there were a lot of things that were not there even in the Sitecore documentation, which we used to get help from either those experts on Sitecore through their blogs or some of the videos that they have put out, or we could reach out to Sitecore support and they used to get it. But again, I would say one thing that has not changed in all these years is, whether you go to the community, whether you go to the Sitecore support team or anywhere, you will get the answers from there. the same way.
You belong to that OG Sitecore community.
Well, I would say there are a lot of OGs already out there. I am just a part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so I think well, let's talk about your experiences of SukhCon, because you have spoken on 2 SukhCons, and your expertise is going more towards AI and all.
Yeah.
And now AI is stepping in, where even Sitecore is bringing AI into their products.
Yeah.
And you have started on that around more than a year back.
Yeah, 1.5 years back. Yeah.
So I'd like to ask about that as well here.
Okay. Okay, we are again going into the memory lane. Yeah, I was a speaker at SukhCon for 2 consecutive years now, like the 2023 and 2024. Last year when we went for SukhCon, like I spoke about AI. Both of the years my partner was Khushbu only.
Yeah.
So last year we spoke about AI. Basically what we were doing were, again, we were solving problems for the Sitecore developers. Like what we were doing were, like we were integrating the AI into Sitecore Connect. And through those recipes we were getting the data and displaying it to the content editor. Like we are giving it the data, pre-filled data, which we used to show on the website. Yeah. So we were using various, like multiple products of Sitecore Connect, and then the JSS headless application, and we were displaying it to the user. Like basically that was what we spoke about last year. Yeah. Like if we talk about the AI, like last year AI was very trending. Yeah. If we talk about it now, like the trend is right now not into that much picture, because like everyone has explored it, and now people are waiting what else we can do, like what else we can see. So last year when we talked about it, like it was very trending. We got a lot of audiences over there. Even we, after the session was completed, we got various leads. People reached out to us talking about how they can extend our use case. We have presented 2 use cases over there, like how AI can filter the pre-filled data that we are giving it to it, and how it can generate and translate the data.
Correct.
And we have implemented the full use case, and we have presented it. Yeah. So people also reached out to us, like from the Sitecore community, like how they can extend our use cases and how. So last year we spoke about it. This year, Khushbu and I delved into personalization. Like we were exploring personalization, like how we can customize the content like on our websites, how we can give the experiences based on like the interest of the audience and everything. So we delved into it. Then we explored the Sitecore personalize as well as XM Cloud personalization. So basically, because Khushbu and I, we both were learning XM Cloud. So like we were doing our hands-on on it. So we started exploring XM Cloud personalization. Basically this year we presented like what, why, when and how you can use the Sitecore personalize and the XM Cloud personalize. Like both comparison, their use cases, and when you can use it, how you can use it, their implementations and everything. We also presented 3 use cases this year also, as we have implemented it. So yeah, like.
And I think that comparison was around, if you have this use case, what to use?
What to use, like when you can choose XM Cloud personalization, when you can go with Sitecore personalize, what capabilities Sitecore personalize has, then what capabilities XM Cloud personalization has, and everything. Like we have covered in and out everything of both the products. Yeah. Basically. Yeah.
Cool. That's of course a great presentation and a great topic to have, because I think not many know about the differences between the two. Yeah. But I'd like to come back to your experience on Sitecore versus .NET.
Okay.
All right. When we compare both of them, I know Sitecore is based on .NET and everything, but for anybody to get started on Sitecore who is in the community, in a .NET community or in the .NET world, what are the few things you would like to tell them that how is it near, or what things they really need to focus on?
Okay. So, if anyone wants to transition from .NET to Sitecore, I would say it is a very seamless process because we have the background, like we know the fundamentals. So it's not very hard for us to transition. So basically, if people are thinking to go into customizing the content, making it personalized, getting into very seamless marketing and other stuff, like they can first of all they can go and explore what Sitecore products are, what Sitecore is right now doing, because Sitecore basically back then was into like .NET and Sitecore vanilla. Now we have XM Cloud and XM also, like where we can utilize those like full stack capabilities like React Next also. So first of all, they can go and explore the Sitecore products, whatever Sitecore is doing in the market right now. And after that, if they want to transition, it's very easy. Easy and seamless, I would say. Like you can come, you can join any organization. You can go into the interviews if they are hiring the people who are transitioning from .NET, and then if you will get the training sessions of it, obviously, because the Sitecore community also gives you training for transitioning. Even the companies give the transitions, and you will get all of that. If I talk about transitioning technically, so we both mentioned, like the fundamentals of Sitecore are .NET only. So you will get the idea how Sitecore architecture is built, and because you will get that idea, it will be easy for you to transition into the content manageable system, because then you have to create everything which you used to do in .NET only, but just the way changes. So yeah, that's pretty much simple. If you want to explore, like if I talk about working, like let's say personalization, because I'm exploring it right now. If I have to do it in .NET Core or MVC application, I have to use third-party APIs to implement it. I have to store the data. I have to write complex queries to get that personalization. I have to go into other third-party implementations and integrations. But if I choose Sitecore has those personalization softwares and platforms available in your website or whatever platform you are building on, be it XP, XM Cloud. So you can use those directly into your application and implement it. And you will get the platforms like overall CMS platform to build things. You will get to see like how dynamic content work. Let's say for an example, like there are banners which are getting changed let's say per week. You can't go into the content and change it. You can see how content authors and the client can come and change their content based on their requirements. And then you can see how flexibly you can build a banner which can be changed so dynamically. Even if the size of the image is changing, how your banner can be optimized. So you will get to go into the depths of implementations rather than just implementing a basic structure.
And the bigger advantage would be, as a technical person, you will stick to technicals.
Yeah. Basically, yeah, if you are a developer at heart, you will be a developer at heart. Like you can't, and I would say like change is the only constant right now. Yeah. So if you are in the IT world, you have to change with the world, like how it's changing, how it's evolving, and how it's enhancing.
Correct. Additionally, I think I'd like to also mention one thing. I think you covered it well, Priyanka, but it's just as if, Sitecore is just a layer. Yeah. And technically it just feels like consuming an API.
Yeah, correct.
So to put it very simply, I mean it's not exactly like consuming an API. It's even easier than that. But that is a good analogy, I think, to put forward to people. Yeah. The .NET community. Yeah. Eventually. Last question, and you already touched upon that. Sitecore has also moved with the trend, right? Wherein advanced JavaScript frameworks like React and Next are the way to build out, websites and components. So what is your thought process? And let's say again, from a .NET perspective, when that happens, when things are going towards advanced JavaScript frameworks, how does or what does a .NET developer need to do, or do they already know? Like if you compare both of them, some of them know, some of them don't. So what are those things that they might need to know to get onto Sitecore?
Okay. If I have to mention that, like I already covered that part. Like if you are working on a .NET framework, be it MVC or .NET Core, you already work on ES6 concepts. Like you have to work on, because you have to bind the data and show it. So we have that fundamental basics and knowings of ES6.
Perfect.
So if you know ES6, you can switch to any framework, like be it React or Next. So for if I consider myself transitioning into headless applications, I found it easy, because I have already worked on JavaScript and jQuery. So I transitioned into React and Next very easily, because I know the basics. Just the, like I'd say, like the way we write code changes, but the concepts remain same.
Correct.
And they are advancements of JavaScript only. So the transition will be easy if, and I already mentioned, like change is the only constant. So Sitecore is also changing, but I'd also want to add that it's not that XP is going somewhere.
Correct.
It's just we have now XM Cloud applications as well in XP. Like we recently got the update of 10.4, which is basically because clients are also involved, and like clients also want their websites to be built on XP also.
And they are already heavily invested in the XP environments.
Exactly. So the transition is, that's your like they are transitioning because there are clients as well, those need like the requirement of React Next, the headless architecture, like bifurcating the deployments and everything. So if like they are working on it, like that's a different aspect. So you can work on both. Like if you want to transition into like those and want to explore newer technologies and languages, you can also go there. Like a .NET developer can transition easily into that. And if they want to explore this vanilla Sitecore, so that's already easy, like as we talked about it.
So I think one thing is pretty damn clear. If your basics are clear, no big deal.
No big deal,
right? So eventually all these big names, right? So I mean, I would also like to put it forward in this way. When we started off on .NET framework, let's say when I started off, right, it was 2.0, 2.5, stuff like that. Now what is the framework?
Right now it's, I don't know, 6.0 is
8
introduced.
Plus?
When I started it was 6.0 to something, and then it's like 8 plus. Right now it's 8 plus.
So isn't the .NET framework evolving?
Yeah, it is.
Same with .NET Core. It started off somewhere like maybe 6 or 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Right? And it has also been evolving.
Yeah, it is. Like even right now, if we see, even the Windows services is evolving. Like we are not writing those forms. If we talk about it, like the basic example is Windows Forms.
Correct.
WPF, WCF applications.
Even before that,
we shifted to MVC, then Core. Like it is also evolving. Like the technology itself is evolving.
I remember Visual Basic, in which I worked during my college times, and I created applications. And when I started off in the industry, what is Visual Basic was the question, because then it was VB.NET already, and C#.NET. So I think with IT, it has always been evolving, as you mentioned, and that is exactly what is important, that we stay relevant.
Exactly.
And all these points are about staying relevant. Staying in .NET, absolutely okay, but if you want to get into Sitecore, it's no big deal. 3 things that help the most is, first of course, as a Sitecore as a product is super nice, and it's again based on .NET, so hardly anything, maybe a couple of weeks and you're onto it. Second and most important is the Sitecore community, which I'm sure if you just go out there and check it out, whether you say the Slack channels, whether you say the Stack Exchange, or whether you go to the community of sitecore.com, over there as well, so things are so easily available and anybody is ready to help, even if you want to get started on Sitecore. And third and most important things are the partners like Horizontal, where we have kind of a streamlined training program. She is again a part of the training program now, and also not just the .NETs, she is also helping out the batch of interns
Yeah, correct.
on getting onto Sitecore. So again, that is kind of somewhere in future wherein we'll talk of experience of an intern who started off on .NET and how that person is doing now. But yeah, for now I think this was it. And thank you, Priyanka, for your time and for sharing the details with us.
Thank you.
That was Priyanka for you, my dear Sitecore family. Thank you for your time. Cheers.